Today, I'm going to be showing you an amazing automation that can write a massive ebook in just the click of one or two buttons. So we have this Google Doc here. You'll see, we'll open it up and see the word count. So the word count is a massive 68,000 words. And this entire ebook was generated with just a couple of clicks. So let's get started and find out how we can build this amazing automation. So it starts with the ChatGPT prompt. Now that we have this prompt in ChatGPT, let's see what kind of titles and subtitles it comes up with. Roses Made Easy, The New Gardener's Guide, Roses for Beginners, Bloom with Confidence, The Joy of Roses. Let's go ahead and pick one of these. I like The New Gardener's Guide to Roses. This is awesome. Let's go ahead and copy that. Let's make a note of that and let's go back to make.com and let's get this automation started. So we're going to click on Create a New Scenario. And we are going to start with an OpenAI prompt. Let's give it a name first. Automated book writer, perfect. Let's go ahead and start with an OpenAI prompt. We want to create a completion. And make sure you've got your connection set up correctly. You want to create a chat completion, and the model you can really choose any model, but I am going to choose the 4.0. You can choose latest or system, either is fine. Let's go ahead and enter our beautiful prompt. So we're going to give it a user role, and I've got the prompt ready. Just going to paste that in here, and instead of X, we are just going to replace that with the title that we generated using ChatGPT. Now we are going to add one more message, and that is going to be a developer or system message. And this is going to force ChatGPT to give the output the way that we really want it. Otherwise, it really adds all these different artifacts that we don't want. So let's go ahead and make sure that the response format is a JSON object. Under Show Advanced Settings, press Save, and let's go ahead and run this automation. We'll save and run the automation just to make sure everything's okay. And we're getting that red circle, so we're just going to click on the icon again and save it one more time. Sometimes you just need to open it once again and save it. That's kind of a bug in make.com. Okay, there, that icon is gone. We can click run once and see what the output that is that we're going to get. Okay, perfect. So if you go down to output and click on result, you'll see the book title that we provided, and you'll see that ChatGPT has generated 13 chapters for us. And if you expand each one, you'll see the number, the title, and the subtitle. So this is amazing. The entire structure of our book is ready in one click. Now we're going to add another node. This time we are going to create a Google document. Now that the outline of the book has been generated, the next step is to make a Google Doc and add the title of the book to that Google Doc. So make sure you have your connection set up. Now the name of the document is going to be the book title. The content of the document, again, for now, is just going to be the book title. That's all there's going to be. And if you want to choose a separate folder, you can go ahead and do that as well. I'm just going to save it at the very root directory for now. Now let's add another module. And the module that we're going to add is an iterator. So what an iterator does is it takes a large list or large array of data, and it's going to go over each and every object in that one. So you'll see that chapters is an array, and we have multiple chapters within that array. So we want to iterate over every single chapter. Now that we have started the iteration process, imagine that we are currently on chapter number 1. So we want to go back to Google Docs. We want to go back and we are going to map the document ID this time from the earlier create a document function that we called. Right? And we want to append text to the body of the document. And this time the text that we're going to append is the chapter number, the chapter title, and the chapter subtitle. We're going to add a few line breaks as well. Forgot the chapter number. Let's go ahead and add the chapter number. Perfect. So now we have iterated over the first chapter from the ChatGPT output, and we have added that much info to the Google Doc. Now the next step is to go back into ChatGPT. And now we want to message the GPT-4o one more time. We are going to ask it to generate subsections for every single chapter because we want each chapter to be quite meaty. If we just give the chapter itself, ChatGPT is going to finish it off in like a 1,000 words or something. So we are going to ask it to generate subsections for every single chapter. So let's just go ahead and fill that prompt out. Perfect. Now we want to list, we want ChatGPT to generate subsections. And again, we want to give a system prompt where we're going to force it to output in JSON. Perfect. And we just need to go to show advanced settings and make sure that the response format is JSON before we proceed further. And we do want to parse the response. Click save. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and run this automation and we'll see that we did end up creating a new Google Doc, but that's fine. We'll go ahead and clean that up. That's okay. And we are getting an error. So let's see what that error is. We can go to download output bundles and just make sure that the ID of the document is indeed correct. So let's go ahead and copy that, go back into Google Docs and make sure that we are pasting the correct document ID. So we're going to paste that one more time. Sometimes some characters do get truncated. So let's go ahead and hit save. And let's try. So now that we've already created the document, we don't really need to create new documents every time. So we're going to remove the Google Docs from that flow. And any work that we are going to do now, any testing, is going to be on that same Google document. So now you see that we do, we have appended some text to the Google Doc, and that's fine. And now let's go ahead and generate subsections for our chapters. So it's going to iterate over, first it's going to generate the chapters, then it's going to iterate over every chapter. And while it's on chapter 1, it's going to generate subsections. And once it's done with a few, we can hit stop and see what the outputs are. So you can see one output is complete. Now it's working on the second one. That's the second chapter. That's done. Now it's working on the third one. So we can just go ahead and hit stop and just see what ChatGPT has come up with so far. So we iterated over the chapters. Now we are generating subsections for said chapters. And if we go into any one of the operations and let's see what the result is. So we'll see that chapter number 1, Introduction to Roses, and we have generated 7 subsections for the first chapter. And along with every subsection, we do have some talking points for the subsections as well. So as you can see, once this entire chapter is generated, it's going to be fairly in-depth, and that's really what we're going for. Now, the next step is going to, we are going to iterate over every single subsection. So we are within one chapter, one iteration, and now we are going to do another iteration where we iterate over every single subsection and we start generating content for those subsections. So we are within the first chapter. Now we are within the first subsection of the first chapter. So let's go ahead and create a new prompt. And this time we're going to be using a tool called perplexity.ai. Now, Perplexity is kind of like ChatGPT, but with very robust access to the internet, where it can pull a lot of research-based data. So since we are writing a book, we do want to make sure that our information is as, as authentic as possible. So if you don't have a connection, you can go ahead and click add, and you can grab your API key by going to perplexity.ai and importing your API key from there. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. Here I am in Perplexity. Once you've logged in, you can just hit the little gear icon, and you want to go into settings. And once we are in settings, you may need to add some money to get this going, or there may be a free trial as well. You can go to API. And within API, you see I do have some credits available, and we can grab an API key, just copy that. If you don't have one, you can hit generate. And now that we are here, you can choose any one of the models, that's fine. The content is going to be this detailed prompt here. And you just have to go ahead and replace the variables because I did copy paste it from a document. So we are now on chapter, and we have to go back to the iterator where we are iterating over the chapters, and we have to find the number, the title, the subtitle, just so Perplexity knows the broader idea that we're discussing. And now that we've told it which chapter we're doing, we want to tell it which subsection we are in. So we give it the subsection name, and we also give it all of the subsection points as well. So point 1, point 2, and point 3. Perfect. So we have these set of instructions ready for Perplexity.ai. Now what this is going to do is it's going to feed in all this information to Perplexity. Perplexity is going to search the web, and it's going to output some talking points for this chapter. So let's go ahead and run this. We hit save first. And let's go ahead and run it and see. So since we're running it new every single time, it is going to generate new chapters, but that's fine for testing purposes because we do have to build this whole automation out. Right, so we have added some text to the original document. We are currently in chapter 1. It's generating these subsections, and now we are iterating over every single subsection. And Perplexity.ai is doing its work. It's already given us one output, so let's go ahead and stop that output, stop the run, and see what we have come up with. So we can go down. This is the input that we gave it. And let's go ahead and find, so you go to bundle 1 under output and go to choices 1 and message and then content. And this is the content that Perplexity.ai has generated for us. Beautiful. The next step is to go back to ChatGPT, give it Perplexity's output, and we want to tell ChatGPT to write this as part of our book. So I'm going to go ahead and click on OpenAI, create a completion. Okay, for the model, you can choose whichever one that you want. I'm just going to go with 4.0 latest because it's one of the quickest ones and it's fairly budget friendly as well. And while we're on the topic of budgets, I did run this a few times, and to generate an entire ebook, I must have spent maybe $2 or $3 for the entire 70,000 word ebook. So, for the output that you're getting, it's really cheap. So let's go ahead and give ChatGPT some background as to what chapter we're writing, where we are. We want to tell it which subsection we're writing. So we scroll up back to the iterator, and we find that subsection name. And we go and then we tell it to reference the output that it got from Perplexity.ai. So choices, message, and content. That's what we're looking for. Perfect. Okay, we can close that. And so now the output is just going to start with the subsection title and body. So let's go ahead and run that once just to make sure everything's okay. There is one last step that we need to do, which is to humanize the content, and we're going to do that by giving ChatGPT a few more instructions. But let's just run this once just to make sure everything's looking okay. So we are in chapter 1 again. Now we are in subsection 1 of chapter 1, and let's see what the final output looks like. Okay, so I'm just going to hit stop. And we can click on the little bubble to see the output. And if we go under bundle 1, result, and we'll see that we have generated an entire subsection for our chapter. Now you can see from the text that it's fairly robotic. So what we want to do is we want to give ChatGPT some more instructions, and tell it to humanize the content. And I do have a prompt ready for that. So let's go back and give it a developer system prompt. And this time we're going to give it a large set of instructions. And these instructions include, the level that we have to write for, the kind of sentences that ChatGPT is supposed to use, the tone of voice. And since the output's fairly large, we can remove the max completion tokens. Okay, perfect. So everything is ready. Now the last step is going to be to go back to our original Google document and add the output from ChatGPT to that document. So let's go ahead and we don't want to go to drop down. We want to map a file, and the document ID is going to be the document that we were working on earlier. Let's go ahead and select that. And we can go back all the way down and just find the first document ID that we created. Yeah, perfect. There we go. Okay, this is the doc that we are working with, and the text that we want to add is the result of the final ChatGPT completion. So now our entire workflow is ready, and let's go ahead and auto align everything to make it look pretty. Now the last step is just to add the create a document back into this workflow. We're going to hit save and just make sure all of the references are correct. So in this Google Doc, in the second Google Doc, we are going to find the document ID from the create a document node. I'm going to hit save. And let's just go back to the final Google Docs node and change that as well to the create a document node, just to make sure that we are consistent across all of the nodes that we have generated, that we're working on. Okay, finally, we can just go ahead and hit save. Now, when we run this automation, ChatGPT is going to generate a list of chapters. Then we are going to create a Google Doc, start working on the book. Then we are going to iterate over every chapter. We're going to generate subsections for every chapter. We are going to iterate over every single subsection. And once all of the subsections for chapter 1 are completed, we're going to go back to chapter 2 and start generate subsections, iterate over all of those, and we should end up with a beautiful book. So let's go ahead and just hit refresh, and we'll see that our new file is ready. Let's go ahead and open that. And if we scroll down, we can see that this book is being generated in real time. So let's just go ahead and wait. Let's see what's going on. And there we go. We have a brand new subsection under chapter 1. And this process is going to keep repeating itself. It should take about half an hour to 45 minutes to go through everything. And by the end of that whole process, you will have an entire ebook ready for you to just polish and publish wherever you want to.